Few experiences are as unsettling to an investigator's psyche as an unresolved case. Even upon retirement or transitioning to different roles, many investigators discover themselves drawn back to enigmatic incidents that continue to elude resolution. Consider the instance of Virginia Carpenter for illustration. What befell this 21-year-old woman who vanished decades ago? The inquiry remains a source of torment for numerous individuals, ranging from retired police officers who were involved in the initial investigation to enthusiasts who endeavor to unravel this peculiar mystery independently. Childhood. Mary Virginia Carpenter, born on January 25, 1927, in Texarkana, exhibited remarkable vitality from an early age. Displaying early signs of mobility, she took her first steps before reaching her first birthday. Her penchant for walking seemed to be an inherited trait, with her mother recounting anecdotes of having to ward off big stray dogs to prevent the adventurous toddler from straying too far from home. At the tender age of 3, Virginia experienced a tragic fall that resulted in a hip injury. This incident marked the beginning of an arduous and prolonged treatment spanning several years, during which Virginia found herself spending some time in a wheelchair. The necessity of wearing an orthosis, reminiscent of Forrest Gump, contributed to her developing a sense of shyness, as she felt self-conscious about the appearance of her leg. The unkindness of other children, who could be exceptionally cruel, further fueled her insecurities, subjecting her to teasing and mockery. However, as time elapsed, so did Virginia's recovery. By the age of 12, doctors declared her completely healthy, culminating in the removal of the orthosis and the restoration of her full mobility. Adolescence. Embarking on her high school journey in Arkansas, Virginia gradually shed her insecurities, but retained her introverted nature. The lingering effects of her past ailment, which left her with a limp, rendered her uninvolved in sports and kept her on the outskirts as a solitary figure. At the age of 15, tragedy struck when her father passed away, leaving Virginia under the sole care of her mother. Encouraged by her mother, Virginia found solace and camaraderie in joining the Majorette Club, a group of girls donning uniforms and short skirts, marching to the beat of a drum. Surprisingly, her limp posed little hindrance in this setting, and she displayed impressive marching skills. It was within this group that Virginia formed her first genuine friendships. In 1944, Virginia successfully graduated from high school with outstanding grades, securing admission to the University of Arkansas, where she chose to pursue journalism. However, a year into her studies, her mother fell seriously ill. Virginia, being the only child in the family and facing financial constraints, made the difficult decision to leave university and assume the role of caregiver for her ailing mother. First love. In 1946, Virginia's mother underwent a successful operation, marking the beginning of her recovery. Seizing the opportunity to expand her knowledge in medicine, Virginia enrolled in nursing courses. It was during this time that she encountered a young man named Mac and found herself falling head over heels for him. The blossoming romance led to an engagement, and the couple even set a wedding date. However, Mac failed to endear himself to Virginia's mother and grandparents. I loved Mac for his admirable qualities and his kindness toward me, but I couldn't envision my daughter building a life with him. There was a lack of harmony, recounted Carpenter's mother later. Under the strain of familial disapproval, the relationship between Mac and Virginia began to unravel. Persistent disagreements culminated in the couple deciding to part ways just 3 weeks before the scheduled wedding. A new goal. Towards the close of 1946, Virginia took on a part-time nursing role at a clinic, only to realize that her leg couldn't endure prolonged hours of exertion, a consequence of a childhood injury. Undeterred in her aspirations for further education, Carpenter sought a way to fund her university studies. Determined, she pursued a higher-paying position and soon found a place at an insurance firm, where she worked until August 1947. Accumulating sufficient funds to cover a year of tuition, Virginia enrolled at Texarkana Junior College, opting for a specialization in laboratory technology. Her choice was driven by a genuine passion for medical studies, as she had a profound desire to aid people and harbored a sincere belief that one day she could contribute to finding a cure for cancer, the ailment that claimed her father's life. Picnic. Just days before completing her first year of college, Virginia's classmates organized a picnic, and the alluring 21-year-old couldn't resist the opportunity to unwind by the lake not far from Dangerfield. Accompanied by her boyfriend of only a few weeks, they arrived at the lake around noon. However, by approximately 5 p.m., Virginia returned home, informing her mother, "I think I got sunstroke. I passed out on the beach." Although she seemed to recover in the evening, a subsequent episode occurred when she fainted while heading to the kitchen. Concerned, her mother promptly summoned a doctor who attributed the incidents to the effects of sunstroke and second-degree burns sustained during her beach outing. Despite these health setbacks, Virginia managed to successfully navigate her exams, which commenced a few days after the incident. After completing them, she celebrated the achievement with a friend at a cafe. During their conversation, Carpenter mentioned that she may have developed feelings for another man. Yet, no matter how much she hinted at her emotions, he failed to reciprocate. The trip. On June 1, 1948, Virginia had plans to travel to Denton for a summer training course, having recovered from her burns. Packed and ready, she requested her mother to drive her to the train station. In the back of my mind, I hoped that the train had already left, and I could take her to campus the next morning. But when we pulled up to the station, the train was there. She kissed me goodbye and waved as she pulled away from the station, and I looked at her and wondered if there was a more beautiful and radiant girl than my Virginia, recounted her mother. During the train journey, Virginia struck up a conversation with Marjorie Webster, a fellow attendee of the course. Upon their arrival in Denton, they hired a cab driven by Edgar Ray to take them to the student dormitory. "Everything's gonna be all right," assured the driver. Later, the driver mentioned that when they reached the dormitory, Virginia realized she had forgotten one of her suitcases and requested Edgar to return to the train station. Since it was already 9 p.m., Marjorie offered to accompany her, but Virginia politely declined, saying, "Don't worry, I can manage on my own. I'll be all right." Upon reaching the station, Virginia asked the driver to wait while she retrieved her suitcase. However, after 10 minutes, she returned without her luggage. It transpired that Carpenter's suitcase had inadvertently traveled with the train and wouldn't be returned until a couple of days later. She left $1 with a station clerk, instructing him to deliver the suitcase to her dormitory in Denton. An unexpected encounter. Around 9:30 p.m., Virginia exited the train station in Denton. Waiting for her in a cab, Edgar observed her walking with a smile towards a parked beige convertible, where two men stood.
"What are you doing here?" Virginia exclaimed with excitement to one of them. Her demeanor suggested both pleasure and surprise at encountering them in that location. The cab driver noted that one of the men was tall, while the other was short and stocky. After a brief interaction, the girl returned to Edgar to settle the cab fare. Without delay, he drove away. The last image the driver witnessed was Virginia walking towards the convertible.
The search. 3 days later, on June 4, Virginia's boyfriend, Kenny Branham, contacted the girl's mother, expressing his inability to reach her. Concerned, the mother promptly called the dormitory, only to learn that Carpenter had never checked into her room. After another day passed without any contact, Virginia's mother reported her missing to the police. In the initial stages of the investigation, Virginia's boyfriend, who passed a polygraph examination, was eliminated as a suspect. Interviews with Carpenter's acquaintances revealed no compelling reasons for her to flee: no lover, no jealous ex, no debts, and no other apparent problems. Essentially, there was nothing to suggest a motive for her disappearance. Given that the girl was solely focused on her studies, detectives leaned toward the possibility of a kidnapping, since only Edgar Ray had seen the convertible that night, and Virginia had no known associates matching the men's descriptions, and none of them owned such a car. The police zeroed in on the cab driver. Edgar, the last person to see Virginia alive, had long been a prime suspect. In 1948, his wife confirmed he was home before 10 p.m. However, during their 1957 divorce proceedings, she changed her testimony, claiming that Ray didn't return until 3 a.m. This altered testimony prompted a re-examination of Edgar, who maintained his version and accused his ex-wife of perjury. Despite undergoing 4 lie detector tests, the police eventually removed him from the list of suspects. Edgar Ray passed away in 1984. Other versions. In the months and even years following Virginia's disappearance, numerous witnesses reported sightings of the young woman in various states, including Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Among these accounts, one from a bus station employee in DeQueen, Arkansas, stood out as particularly intriguing. The cashier asserted that he saw Virginia just a week after she vanished, on June 11. Around 9 p.m., she disembarked from a bus originating in Texarkana and inquired about an affordable nearby hotel. The woman appeared highly nervous, biting her lip and fidgeting with the folds of her dress. After a moment, a young man with light brown hair approached her, wrapped his arm around her waist, and she reluctantly followed him. Interestingly, the police dismissed most of the reported sightings, deeming them unreliable except for this one, which they considered credible. However, this lead failed to yield any conclusive results. Virginia was never located, and in 1955 she was officially declared dead. In 1998, the police received another report related to Carpenter from a 70-year-old man who claimed to know the identity of Virginia's killer and the location of her body. According to him, 2 acquaintances who had once confessed to the crime were responsible for Virginia's disappearance and death. Yet, when authorities searched the indicated location, they found nothing, and the 2 suspects named by the informant had already passed away. Another theory explored was the possible involvement of a serial killer known as the Texarkana Phantom in Virginia's disappearance. This killer, who was never apprehended, committed 5 murders in 10 weeks in 1946 and then vanished. Intriguingly, Virginia had connections to 3 of the Phantom killer's victims, suggesting a potential link. However, these are merely theories, and the truth behind Virginia Carpenter's disappearance may remain elusive. I hope you liked this story. Please don't forget to leave a comment sharing with your thoughts below. Give a thumbs up this video, and remember to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more captivating stories. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey, and we'll see you in the next video.